Welcome to the creative brain of Dean Hawk. Get ready to be challenged, inspired, and equipped to become a better ministry leader.
Hey, welcome everyone to the Dean Hawk Leadership Podcast. It is our September 2018 edition. Thank you guys for watching, listening. We're on, if you want to, I know a lot of you listen in iTunes. We're also on YouTube, that you go to our YouTube channel and watch and catch it. Today I've got one of our staff with us, a great staff member, recent addition to our team. Aaron Pendleton is with me today. Glad to have you.
Yeah, thank you.
We are continuing on from last month. This is Do Less, Lead More, Part 2. And I encourage you, if you missed last month with Kim and I, go back and just listen to that. We're talking about team alignment, staff alignment, individual alignment of what God is leading us to do as an individual, as leaders, as pastors and ministers, and getting ourselves. Here's what I think of, Aaron, is alignment is sharpening and refining the blade.
Yeah, absolutely.
A lot of people are fighting with a sword,
right,
made out of wood or that's about 12 inches wide and about 6 inches thick, and it's not very sharp. Mm-hmm. But the more we align ourselves, the sharper we are and the more effective we are in
Absolutely.
chopping through the jungles of life with a very sharp, lean tool. And so I've asked Aaron, he's loaded with ideas, but I've asked him to just join us today. And we often talk about, I think it goes back to Jim Collins and getting the right people in the right seat, mm-hmm. and just talk about how we've been going through that and that whole alignment process and how you've been helping coach us as a team through that.
Sure, absolutely. So I think a lot of, when we ask the question, are people in the right seat? We ask that question, we wonder, I know I've got the right people on the team and I think I've got them in the right seat. Something we've been unpacking as a staff has been just trying to find out, do we have them doing the right function? Sometimes there's not only the piece of doing what you're doing, but
right.
It's, am I doing the right thing? Do I even have the right thing in my hand right now? Or am I doing the wrong thing? So sometimes we have the right people doing the wrong thing. So we've been doing kind of an internal assessment, working with the team and saying, okay, if you are doing this, is anybody else own this or just you?
That's good.
And if other people own it, who really owns it? That's the other question we've been asking a lot of. Who really owns this? And that's been an interesting.
That's a term we've had around here for a long time, because right. the owner is, who do I go to when this didn't get done?
Right.
Who can I
right.
say what happened?
Right. And so we're trying to just unpack that a little bit more. I think one thing is we've looked at the functions. When you don't have the right people doing the right thing, then it feels like they're pulling you back. So you have to ask the question, are the people around me, is the team that I'm building, are they pushing me forward or are they pulling me back?
Sure.
And that helps you understand, are they doing the right function or not? Because maybe they're pulling you forward in one area and pulling you back in another. So
well, and something that's important that we aren't going to attempt to cover here, but so we're talking about, we know we have the right people on the bus. A whole nother subject is, is there somebody that's currently on my team? Is there somebody that's currently there that I don't feel should be there, or there changes need to happen? That's a whole nother conversation.
Sure.
But let's say you're going, man, I know these people. I feel good about the team I have. Mm-hmm. How do I do them? So what would you say is the greatest need for leaders today in this arena?
I think one of the major things we've found, just three major things, is really calling out the three areas: doing, managing, and leading.
Describe that. What do you mean?
So what I mean by that, and I like to use the analogy of a ship. If you've got a captain of a ship and he's standing at the top of the ship and he's looking out at the horizon, he's got the periscope. You guys kind of get the idea of the old ship,
right?
And he's looking. He's the captain. He's directing where the ship will go. If he's doing that role, and all of a sudden he says, "Oh, I need to run down and make sure they're rowing well," so he goes all the way to the bottom of the ship and he gets in there and he's rowing the oar with the guys. he's no longer looking forward. He's no longer at the helm of the ship. And so
He got trapped in doing.
He did. He ran down to do for a while, and that affected now the direction or the course of the whole ship. And
that's good.
So that's part of just, and I've heard this. I've worked with a lot of organizations over the years, and we have to adjust. We have to adjust to the winds and the sea and all the changes that come. And if you're not an adjusting organization, then you're going to get stuck. You're going to eventually go off course because things change. So you have to be constantly adjusting. So if the captain's not being in tune with that, if he's not watching that, if your leader doesn't see that, then he can't make those adjustments because he's had his head down. He's been doing. I did a little study on ships. I love this. And, when you look at how ships work, the rudder, we all know, is a small part of the ship.
Sure.
You turn that rudder, and it creates this moment. They call it a moment at sea when there's a translation of simple force that happens. And when that force happens, it pushes the ship the other direction or helps it turn. And I've had many organizations, the leaders will say, well, we're just an old organization. We're like the Titanic. We can't just turn like a kayak. But they've used that as an excuse to turn it all. And
Because they don't want to change.
right. And so inevitably what that means is they don't change. They actually just keep on the same course, and they miss those adjustments and tweaks. So this ship terminology, there's a drift angle that happens when you use that rudder, and it pushes the sway of the ship to turn it. And there's a thing called a hydrodynamic moment. And that moment is when the ship catches and makes that turn. And I think some of us need some hydrodynamic moments in our organization to turn. And but that has a lot to do with these people in their right spots. And if you're leading, you're up there, you're seeing the adjustments that need to be made, then you can pass that down to the people that are managing and taking care of things, all the way down to the folks that are doing the simple tasks to get it done. And that takes all of those things coming together and alignment to make that turn.
So describe this. Where would you say, I get the captain is on the deck and he's leading. I've got the guys in the bow of the boat doing. Where's that manager piece? Describe that manager piece.
The manager piece is that person that's going to be in tune with the leader. They're going to pick up on what is needed. What they're almost right ahead, a step ahead, almost just seeing. Okay, he's looking that way, so that means we need to get ready to go that way. He's looking over there, so we need to be ready. He's in tune with that, and then he's got to be an excellent communicator. Today, in this day and age, communication has changed dramatically.
Sure.
Email, text, chat, instant message, video, whatever meetings, whatever kind of things you need to do. Your management people need to be excellent communicators to be able to communicate the vision down and share it to those, and also inspire and excite people about what the vision is.
Describe what we've shifted to in our staff meetings. I don't even know what it is because I don't have to know. I am the captain, and I have beautiful staff that make these things happen. I know this. The staff have loved it. They know what's coming up in the staff meeting, the agenda.
Yep.
Describe that a little bit.
So we've utilized a tool where we put the agenda out there for the whole staff. They've got a live living document that we can all edit and adjust. And so after our vision time with Pastor Dean, we kind of go through some of those things and we say, okay, you can go now. And then we dive into more of the management and tactical side of things. But that gives us all week. I've got my team putting things in there. They're putting ideas in, issues we need to talk about. And that document, just used through a tool, has helped us.
What's that? What is that program?
We're utilizing Microsoft Teams. There's a lot of tools out there like that, but we've really been enjoying that one and just utilizing Microsoft Teams to get people to be on that team, and then also edit and create and work together, collaborate.
The beauty of it for the leader, the captain of the ship, the visionary, is that then I can have access to that. I don't have to be in the meeting. I still like to be in the know, but then I can go back in, see the issues, the challenges, the tasks, who got assigned what, and then I can go and read what's happening and how did that all process, because a lot of times I'm feeding, hey, we need to check on this, hey, somebody's handling this, and I'm feeding some issues or problems into the machine, and as a leader it helps me to see and to know that's, who's owning that, who's picking that piece up.
Yep. And I think back to the manager role, I think one of the things that you just reminded me of is it's our job to give a pulse back. So, give your leadership pulse. Okay, do I have a pulse back? I know I have people in our team that have to give me a pulse. What's going on in this department? What's going on in this area? I need a pulse. I need to know what's going on. So.
Well, and then this is not just senior pastor, associate pastors, volunteer coordinators, worship pastor, youth pastor. We are actually going back and saying to every department,
absolutely,
whether that in your church, whether that's a paid department or a volunteer department, you might have a completely volunteer children's ministry. But we're teaching these principles of getting the right people in the right seat, and we're kind of commanding that this is happening with your team, that you're getting it organized and you're getting the people and you have some volunteers who are high capacity leaders that could lead the ushers team, could lead the greeters team, could lead the coffee team, but maybe that individual, that staff member is saying, well, I still need to own it. I'm making it up because Sarah does great on empowering those people, but there could be people there that have true leadership capabilities that would help you do less or that staff member do less. I'm thinking of one staff member, I won't pick on him by name, but I'm thinking of one staff member that he is the getter done person. If there is a project, if there is something that needs to be done, needs to happen, he will stay all night. You just know it's going to be done.
Absolutely.
And for that kind of personality who is a doer, getter done, it is really a more turning of the ship because he knows his abilities. He knows his capabilities and what he can do and how well he can do it. And where he's going through the transition of, I empower someone else to do this. It might not be at the level I want first time or second time, but can I coach them that maybe by the third or fourth time, they're producing on the level that I was. And then once again, so now he's free to have vision. He's free to maybe go and help another department within his team get strengthened. And that's one of the things I kind of see is that you might have to go into the bowels of the ship and say, this is the way we row at Rock Family Church. Here's how we do that. We don't row backwards. We row forwards. We row in harmony and unity. Teach them, show them. The John Maxwell, be there and do it. Show them, be there and do it with them, and then coach them. But man, it is so empowering, and I believe it's building our leadership for the growth that we're all praying for.
Yeah, absolutely. And you have to be okay with, hey, this is only at 80% right now, but I'm building them up to that 100%. You might see a gap, you might see a loss, and I use that analogy sometimes with our leaders. I say, you have great trust in yourself, but your trust might slow down just a little bit for a season while you're empowering and trusting in others. I call it the speed of trust. Sometimes that slows down a little bit, and then you have to speed back up. But that's just comes over time.
All right,
and developing.
So tell me this: How can a pastor, a leader, gauge their team? What have you implemented here, and how can we gauge where we are so we can set a vision where we want to go and kind of have a check and balance?
So what we've implemented over the last few months, it's been kind of fun to see how our leadership team has done with this. But I was in a workshop years ago. Heard a man by the name of Dr. Dean Radke, and he talked about this RPM meter. We've had RPM in your car. That's the speed, the revolutions per minute that your car is doing, 1,000, 2,000 of those. But RPM meter, in this sense, is response per mandate. So the mandates that come down from the Lord, from leadership, as those mandates come down, how fast can we respond to the mandates? And so I want you to visualize for a minute an RPM meter. I don't have a graphic for you, but if there's a 1 through 10 dial and 1 through 3 is doing, 4 through 6 is in this managing spot, and 7 through 10 is in a leading spot, and the needle has to go up to those areas. If you're in a doing area down here and you start to accelerate and response per mandate starts to speed up, then you're going to throttle up into the managing area. So if you're managing and you've got somebody else doing, then you're running at a little faster pace than you are if you're doing it all. Then the goal is to swing around to leading, to where I'm now in this leading zone. I've got somebody else in the managing managing zone, I've got somebody else in the doing. And so then the mandates that come can happen even quicker because we've got someone leading, they've got the vision for it, we've got somebody else overseeing, managing, and somebody else doing the task.
Okay.
And so then that response per mandate begins to pick up. But this is the interesting thing. Every time you could say, man, I'm just leading so good over here. But if we're not leading in all areas, it
Right.
goes back to the functions, then you have to take your foot off and you slow back down again and you begin to lose the momentum that you built up because you had to drop down to do.
That's good.
So you have to kind of do a self-assess and check around and say, what am I doing and what am I managing? What am I leading? And what are the things I can let go of, like we've been talking about today?
So how would you rate Rock Family Church staff team right now?
This has been quite an exercise. We actually had our staff go through and do a self-assessment of am I a doer, am I a manager, am I a leader, and we're in process. I would say our average is about a 4. So we're, a lot of us have to drop down into doing, and then we'll kind of manage for a while, and there's a lot of that right now as we've been working with the team.
Sure.
And people say, man, I spiked up to a 9 like on Sunday for an hour, and then I was back down to whatever. But so we're holding a strong 4 right now, but we hope to see that improve. And
What's
continue to
encouraging,
grow.
though, is I'm seeing our staff members hope is alive, because
Sure.
I think the weight of the ministry of the doing. Here's where I would say burnout comes when you're doing.
Yeah.
You're in the trench of doing.
Absolutely.
That if we're really delegating and we're expanding and we're handing off and looking for winners on our team that we can empower. And I think back to what I said last month is many times leaders are hesitant to hand off because of fear.
Sure.
Well, what if they don't do it right?
Sure.
What if that area of ministry takes a hit? What if that area? I'm thinking of one situation right now, a department that Kim's got some people in place, and they handed off, and that employee handed off, and we thought we had a person, and the reality is that area of ministry kind of went backwards
Yeah.
for the last couple months.
Yeah.
And it didn't work out the way we thought it did.
Right.
That's just ebb and flow. That's the give and take. If you think, I love baseball because, man, you're an excellent batter if you're hitting 250, 300, in your batting, which is basically 25 to 30%.
Yeah.
The other times you're striking out. And I think many times as leaders, we think we have to be hitting the ball 75, 80%. We're getting doubles and singles. There's a lot of times we're striking out and we're not hitting the mark.
Yeah.
All right, any closing thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think that just to tag on to what you're saying, I think as we progress in our leadership, we're going to have misses. We're going to have times where we've been through a problem or we've had to manage or figure out how to solve something that went backwards. But that actually makes us better. And so just don't be discouraged in that. Say, nope, the next time is going to make me better. I'm going to know the next time around, that we're going to do this even better. Next handoff's going to go smooth.
Exactly.
So.
Hey, we're just real here. So I'm going to ask Mark, would you hand me, there's 2 books over there by my printer. Would you hand me those 2 books that are stacked right there? Yep. I want to challenge you as leaders. I began to read these books at the first of the year, and I'm telling you, it's been a part of this evolution of growth in our leadership. So I don't know if it's going to be next month, where it'll be October, November, but I'm going to show you the books. But here's what I want you to do. I want you to dive into them. I would tell you, I don't know if it's just for me as a leader, this was a missing link for our organization of growth. And so the 2 books it's called What the Heck is EOS? It's a complete guide for employees in companies running on EOS. This is the simple version of EOS, is the Entrepreneurial Operating System. It's basically and there's many other books and authors of the same category,
Right.
But this one just hit it with us. It's by Gino Wickman and Tom Bauer. And so I just encourage you to check these books out. And so I actually read this one first. Somehow I ended up with this book first. It's for employees within the organization. They have a whole series of books. You'll find them on Amazon. But then Traction is actually the book for the key leaders. And it's how to give your organization traction by organization, checks and balances. What are the scorecards? How are you measuring your success? And in the typical church, we measure success by offerings, attendance,
right,
and salvations.
Right.
Well, there's about 20 other scoreboards that we can measure besides those things to really help. Are we ahead or are we behind? And so one of the things that we've been challenged with as a staff with these two books is, how do we take this that was written for a business, for a production company, and how do we convert it to the church world? And so we're going to have a podcast or two in the next couple months, but you need to read them and get all your questions, and then we'll try and come in and answer those questions of how we've applied this to the church world and the church market. Hey guys, we are out of time. Thanks for listening, watching the Dean Hawk Leadership Podcast. Please share with your friends. Email us if you have any questions. Get with any of our staff departments if there's any way we can assist you as a pastor, as a leader, or assist your leaders. If your youth pastor needs to connect with our youth pastor or whatever department it is, our heart is to help you fulfill the vision that God has given to you. And then always be sure, I haven't uploaded any new ones in the last, I don't think my team, there's a doer, we've loaded anything new in the last couple of months. But at deanhawk.com are all of my sermon series, notes, outlines, PowerPoints, fill-in-the-blank handouts, all of that. It's all free of charge. And you guys can take it, shape it, mold it, make it your own, improve it, do whatever you guys want to do. But it's just there as a free tool to help you in those times and seasons of where you need some inspiration in your study time and to help take it to the next level. So, Aaron, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you all.
Appreciate all of you guys and all that you are doing around the country and across the world, making a change for the good news of Jesus Christ. See you next month.
Thank you for joining us today. For a free sermon series and teaching outlines by Pastor Dean, visit us at deanhawk.com. Be sure and join us next month as we continue our growth on leadership.